Hey, Rebel Bankers, welcome back to the show, and thank you. I've got a great guest today, and she's going to really rock your world and tell you about her journey to success and the things she's done. And I can't wait for you to meet her. Her name is Sharon, and she's from Innovative Property Solutions. So in a moment, we're going to talk about her journey, what she does today, and how she's basically gotten where she is. And you guys need to hear this, because these kind of journeys to success are the ones that are going to help you understand what you need to do and how to do it. So let's talk about your journey to becoming a Rebel Banker. We talk about this every single episode. That journey begins with taking action. A lot of people just go out there and they just go out and find knowledge. They watch podcasts and all this, but they never apply the knowledge. They just keep going out and gathering and gathering. That's not how you do it. You got to take the knowledge you get and go out there and apply it. Even if it's just one piece of knowledge, that one thing could change everything for you. So with that being said, go out, grab a copy of one of our books, Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery or The Private Money Guide, and get started with applying knowledge. So Sharon, thank you so much for joining me to the show.
Well, thanks for having me on, Chris.
Absolutely. Well, let's start a little bit just by telling them a little bit about what does Innovative Property Solutions do?
Well, I started investing a long time ago. So I had a home inspection company from 1991 for 17 years. And after I'd been in that business about 7 years, a realtor said, hey, you want to go to a RIA meeting? And I said something like, what's a RIA meeting? And then, so I went to that meeting, and fast forward all these 20 plus years later, I still go to the RIA meetings because you never get done learning. And I'm like you, if you get just one tip or make one contact, it's worth the meeting. So I invested part-time for 10 years. And my plan was to buy, to rehab a house or two and buy a rental. And that I went along on that path until 2008. Well, we all know what 2008 happened. So I closed the other business, and that's when I began investing full time. That's also the moment when I became a full-time wholesaler. Now, if you can believe it, I had never really wholesaled a property in 10 years. It was just, I really couldn't wrap my brain around it, to tell you the truth.
In your bio, you said you kind of fell into wholesaling by accident. That's interesting.
Well, if you see, were you investing in 2008? Maybe
I was. I almost went bankrupt in 2008.
So that's what happened. So I found myself with a couple of rentals or a couple of rehabs, and I just thought, gosh, it's going to take however many months to rehab these. And then nobody could get a retail mortgage. And I had no idea how long those houses were going to sit there. So that's when I thought, I'll just call somebody I knew and say, do you want to buy these houses? And they said, well, heck yeah. So I thought to myself, boy, that was easy, but in reality, wholesaling is not that easy. But I had all those years of contacts. I had 10 years of people that I could call. I knew where they bought, what type of property they could buy. And at that time, it wasn't a time to be I don't think it was a great time to be rehabbing, because there was so much uncertainty, and your buyers couldn't get a loan. And like you said, people were going belly up. But the plus side of it was the whole world was on sale. So my strength was in marketing. And I took that and just kept sourcing deals. And I never intended to stay a wholesaler, but it just kind of happened because over the time, around 2010, I started the blog. 2013, I started the podcast. And then I became really invested in, I found that my joy came from teaching other people the business. So while I still invest, I'm heavy into the dragging other people down the path of real estate investing.
That's fantastic. And I kept thinking about it as you're talking about the home, you did the inspection. So of course you knew all the buyers. And one of the secrets to wholesaling is if you know who the buyers are, and all you need to do is just go source the deal, like you've done the hardest part of the job. And you did, you're right. You kind of did that by accident. So you just had that. And that, and I know a bunch of home inspectors and people that are in that inspection business, like they should really do what you did. Now, do you help people do these things, correct?
Yes, I do. So over the years, I've done pretty much every strategy, at least a few times. But what I found that my strength was in marketing and branding. And usually real estate investors, when you say the word branding, they kind of go, I'm going over here. So what I try to get people to understand is that marketing is how you get deals, but branding is why they choose you. So that's one thing that I focus heavily on. And the other thing is probate investing, which I think is the best source of leads on the planet. You'll never run out of leads. The market has no effect on probates, and these people have to sell the house. Right. It just doesn't get any better than that. And you have to help so many people.
No, I would agree with that. And it's like we used to market really heavily, and we were a company that was all about branding. So from day one, I can relate to that. I mean, branding is what people realize it, but it's very difficult. And a lot of people think that a lot of people really think that branding and marketing are one and the same, and they're really not.
No, they're not.
Totally different. So let's take a moment and talk a little bit about that. Like, how would somebody that's getting into the business, maybe they want to be a wholesaler, maybe they want to flip houses, which probably maybe not the right time to be doing that here soon. And then maybe they want to be rentals. What advice would you give somebody when it comes to branding or marketing and the differences and how they need to do that?
Well, when it comes to marketing, I think you need to have 3 to 5 ways to get deals. You need that many strategies or lead channels, whatever you want to talk about. But even when you're drop dead new, and this is probably the biggest mistake that I made, and I knew better from the other business, was I thought, well, who am I to think I can have a brand? And I kind of sat off to the side. I did my thing, but I wasn't worried about the whole branding side of it. But I tell people branding isn't really so much about who you know as who knows you. So if you are a beginner, probably one of the most valuable and pretty much free things you can do is join your local RIA and volunteer to be the person at the door that checks people in. I will guarantee you that in 6 months, 12 months, everybody will know your name. And then you can start to say, like, I'm Chris and I do this. So it's very like, you don't have to have a big fancy campaign to begin with. And then over time, your brand is really about how you make people feel. Certainly it's about the physical aspects, the colors, the logos, and all of that. But at the end of the day, your brand is, someone said is what people say about you when you walk out of the room. So that is your reputation. It's the feel-good thing. It's how you help people. And that ultimately, I really believe, is what determines your marketing and branding, or what determines your success over time. You can be a great rehabber. You could wholesale. You can do buy and hold. You just talk to a guy that does notes. Your strategy doesn't matter so much as all the other things that go along with that.
Yeah. So I used to do the same things. I went to a lot of RIAs, but I was always really big when I was doing a lot of wholesale, and we had our HGTV show. We were trying to find deals all the time. So we spent a lot on marketing, and the best campaigns I ever had, and I wonder if people talked about me when they left the room about this, is furry little critters. So we did a big marketing campaign over and over with our little kitten called Scouty. Scout, we put this photo of little Scouty on the postcards and on the websites and everything. And it just said, Scouty wants to make an offer on your house. He's willing to pay cash. Call him and we'll have an offer to you in 12 hours. And that campaign, that's silly orange kitten campaign, brought in more leads than anything else I've ever seen. So I wonder, when I left the room, people were like, hey, was that the guy with the kitten? Most
likely. But see, that's exactly the response you want. You want to be memorable in a good way, not a bad way. And that comes in many different forms. It kind of depends on your personality. I know someone who uses her dog, and we always kid her and say she's pimping out her dog, because her dog is on every marketing piece, but it totally works. And she said 100%. People come say, will you bring your dog to the closing? I need to meet your dog. So it's really crazy, but you gotta have an edge. But pets totally work on marketing for sure.
I had somebody on the show yesterday, and he's quite well known. His name's Mike, and he wrote the book Profit First. And we were talking a lot about like marketing, and we were talking about how to market into this new world. And one of the things he was saying is you got to do something that's completely off the norm. Yeah. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, I don't know. What if a clown just walked behind me and did his little thing and then just walked by? Like, that would get your attention. And I'm like, holy crap. You know what? First thing that came to my mind when he said that, I said, I'm going to hire a clown. I'm going to do a Facebook Live, and I'm going to have that clown come in and give me a hard time. And that Facebook Live probably will go viral. So I literally, once we get done with this New York quarantine crap we've got here.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be some clowns rolling around the office. But I love marketing. I just think you can get so creative. And I almost don't think, I think the only screw up you can do with marketing is not to market and not to brand yourself. I think
not to care at the essence. Your marketing is marketing, but you have to come across as someone that genuinely cares about solving problems, because that's, at the end of the day, that's the business we're involved. We're kind of in the marketing business, but we're in the problem solving business that just happens to involve real estate. So, and your guest yesterday, I love his books, by the way. He's one of my very favorite authors. And so he's a smart guy.
We had so much fun on that podcast episode. It was just going back, but it was all just talking about his books, but so much of it came back to marketing and branding, which is why I brought it up. So with that being said, in your business today, what are the biggest things that you're doing in business that are working right now with this COVID?
Direct mail still works. So, and off-market deals. Now, I tell people it was kind of I was like the Libra poster child. I hated confrontation. Therefore, I was never one to get on the MLS and scrap and get into deals where there were 20 other offers. I just didn't want to do that. So from the very beginning, I worked off-market deals and I found my niche. So direct mail is the number one way to reach these people, and nobody gets mail anymore. So if you send them a good mail piece, certainly one like you were talking about, they're going to remember that. So direct mail, networking. Networking is probably the most underutilized, yet one of the most powerful marketing things on the planet that you can do from both a marketing and a branding perspective. Your website. This is one that still astounds me that people don't have a website. The process used to be, a long time ago, you would send out some sort of marketing, and then the people would look at your marketing and they would call you based on that marketing. Well, what happens now is it's a three-step process. They will look at your marketing piece, then they go stalk you online. They look for your website. They check your, they Google you and check your online presence. And then if you make the shortlist, they call you. But before they ever call you, they know probably more about you than you could ever imagine. And this is not just young people. This is a lot of older people. They're very internet savvy.
Oh, I would 100% agree. And I can tell you that. I mean, I do probably 100 calls to people every single month, sales calls. And every person I talk to, they say, I watched all your videos on YouTube. I've been following you on Facebook. I watch your stories on Instagram. And I'm like, really? You're on Instagram? Sometimes that's what I'm thinking. And they're like, and I love your website. But you're right. It's like, because that's what people want. And because right now, I mean, we are moving to a digital world.
Yes.
You got to check off all the boxes. And if you miss one of those boxes, you're going to put doubt in that person's mind as, well, wonder why they don't have a website. I wonder why they don't have a Facebook page. Like, it's just miss one, and all of a sudden you put doubt, and that begins that journey where they're going to start digging, and they're going to find whatever they're going to find. So you got to be careful with that.
Yeah, you've got to build your online presence purposefully. You cannot leave it up to someone else to create your online presence. So that your brand, that's up to you. And we have a podcast, but you don't necessarily have to have a blog or a podcast. You can make YouTube videos. You can do walkthroughs of properties, but you must do something that differentiates you when they get 10 letters or 20 postcards. You have to be able to, they have to have the reaction that, oh, I remember Chris. I remember that cap or whatever it is. So, and then I'll tell people, do things that other people aren't doing. Like I was always big, always sent a thank you note after I looked at a property. Even if they turned me down, I sent a thank you note.
That would mean a lot to me.
That it was like, and I would always say, look, I know we didn't come to an agreement, but if your plan A doesn't work out, I'd love to be your plan B. And I always tell people, include a business card, because likely if you gave them a really low offer, they just threw that thing right in the garbage can. So you can do that. But another way to do this with people is use a service like Bonjoro. For $20 a month, $25 a month, you can just get on your computer, record a little video that says, hey, Chris, thanks so much for letting me look at your house. I realize you took time out of your day. If we didn't manage to come to an agreement, or maybe we didn't come to an agreement, just let me know. You can reach me here, or whatever. I'm talking 60-second videos. But what I love about that is that it doesn't open up in a link. It opens up in a video player. So the person doesn't have to decide whether to click on the link. So that's just another way of saying thank you. And it's really whatever works for you and your personality. But just simply thanking somebody, especially if you haven't made a deal, but certainly if you did put a deal together, goes a long way.
Yeah, no, I think that means a lot. And one thing I did 6 years, 7 years ago, however long it was, I started going on Sundays. I started going around to different properties we were working on, and I would just record videos. And I was terrible at it back then. A lot of people are scared to, do videos. They're like, oh my God, if I don't look right, oh my God, if I don't do it right, if I don't talk right, if I stumble, they stop it. But that's what people want. They want the real stuff. So I started doing that at the properties, and I spoke about how we found the deal, how we funded the deal, the problems we're having with the deal. Everybody wants the dirt. They want the problems. And this is 6 years. It's now called Sunday Flip Fun Day. I do it every Sunday. Sometimes I regret that I picked a Sunday to do it, but I do that, and thousands of people watch it every week. And that's where it started, me not knowing anything about Facebook, not knowing anything about how to do it, just grabbing it, kind of being nervous and doing it, and practice. And, like you were talking about with branding, I mean, that's a brand now.
That's a brand.
Sunday Flip Fun Day. But don't ever hesitate to just step out and just do something silly, and do it consistently and persistently, right? I mean, that's the trick.
Well, and we all, when you look back at your early stuff, it's all cringeworthy but the thing of it is, we did it. We did it in spite of the fact we didn't know what we were doing. And everybody has a cell phone today, so there really is no excuse. And there's nothing wrong with saying, boy, I just got my words all twisted up. Let me just go back over here to the kitchen. Like you said, people like that. They like the real, raw video. And certainly there's a place for produced video, but it's not necessary. And you don't have to be special to do this. You just have to be brave enough to take the first step. That's it.
I love that. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. So in your business, we talked a lot about wholesaling. Do you do anything else in your business? Flips? Do you do any rentals, education and all? I know we talked about this, but I want to kind of go deeper into this.
Yeah, I do a lot of education now. So I never went back to flipping, but the thing that I teach today is marketing and branding and probate investing. So women have largely been kind of afraid to jump into real estate investing. It's changed certainly over the past 4 or 5 years for the first time ever. So I've told people the other day, my probate course has had a birthday in May. It's now 2. So I've seen a shift, though, in that I want women to have equal opportunities as men. They look at you and they go, I'm not personable like him. I'm not bubbly like him. They do this whole comparison thing. So I've been on a mission to teach not just women, but men, whether you're an agent, whether you're an investor, about probates, because it is a wide open niche for people. It's never going anywhere. And sadly, you'll never run out of leads. So if COVID-19 has shut down your business, essentially, and when it has for a lot of people, their lead sources have dried up. That'll never happen with probates. And if you combine that and you know how to market to people, then it's all just fits together perfectly. But I am big, like you, I'm big into the education side of the business. It's the reason I do the blog and the podcast and all the things that I do, because I want people to avoid the landmines that we've done, all the lessons we've learned the hard way, and to get the courage to know that this is just real people out there doing this. You don't have to be special, or don't have to have a college education. You don't have to have really any tech skills. You have to really be able to talk to people and know how to use your phone to do everything you need to do.
It's a good point. And I love that you mentioned women, because one of the biggest things that I've seen, my wife is in the business with me, and our supervisor, the one that we were talking about right before we went live, she is also, it's a woman, and she's a supervisor. So the unique thing that I've seen is my wife gets far better results talking to people than I do.
Mm-hmm.
I think any seller that you're going to call, especially probate, okay, because that's a vulnerable situation, they're going to relate much better to a woman calling them than a gruff guy calling. And women just have a special way of just communication that I think many men, lack. And I'm not putting men down, but I know I lack communication skills. She does. She knows how to just be calm and collected. She knows how to really talk to them about their problems, where I'm kind of just like, all right, let's get to this is the offer. No, I just want to get down to the meat and potatoes. She's kind of really building a relationship, and this is a relationship business. So if, I just wish there was more women in the business. I wish there was a way that they didn't feel intimidated to come in, because real estate is predominantly a man dominated business, but it's changing. It's changing. And I know people like my wife and Darcy and so many others are changing it. And I think the best way to do that is a husband-wife team, or, a couple team. They come in, the guy's going to be better at certain things. Like, send the guy out to, do the hard stuff, the dangerous stuff, but the women should be the ones really building the relationships. That's how I feel. And maybe I'm wrong in that.
No, I think it's a good point. And I do think men have unique qualities in that they are able to get down to business quickly. But certainly with a lot of sellers, it's not just probates, but with a lot of people, they need a softer touch. But certainly with probates, if you understand how that process works, these people, if it's in probate, they have to liquidate the assets. They have to sell the house. But they have experienced what is, in most cases, a really horrible event in their life. Now, you don't know if it's been a month or if it's been a year since that person passed away. But when they open the probate, that's a sign that they are ready to move forward. Now, women, like you said, I can tell let's just get down to business, move on to next. You have to be a good listener to work in probates. And I think that is truly where women are uniquely qualified to work in that niche, because they can look around. I tell people, take visual clues. If you know someone's mom has passed away and you see cookbooks in the kitchen, a good opener is, was your mom the cook? And then you just have to stop talking and let them talk. Women can do that. They're used to negotiating with kids. They're used to it. They just got this down pat. I'll tell you that. Husbands, so they're good communicators and they're good listeners. But if you can do that, you have just set yourself apart from almost every other person that's going to walk in the door, hands down.
I agree.
You don't even have to have the best price.
Yeah, the relationship really matters. And like you said, that's the relatability of it. And that's huge. I mean, I haven't done a ton with probate, and we've always done different things, but probate's huge. I mean, it's not something we specialized in, but yeah, I mean, when someone loses a loved one, that's a traumatic event for them. And now all of a sudden they got to make a very difficult decision. Seems simple to me or some other people, like, well, yeah, you got to sell your house, so sell it to me. No, it's more than that. That's maybe where they grew up. They made memories there. That's where their family was. Like, it's not so simple, but I think you're onto something great. And I think, my wife wasn't, taking care of our two-week-old child now. I'd love to put her through your program so she could learn. But I think people need what you're doing. So with that being said, how would people get a hold of you? Because I think what you're doing with the probate and teaching that is so valuable. How would my audience get a hold of you to learn?
Well, I have a course which is going to be opening in a couple of weeks. I don't know when this show will go live, but it's the course is Probate Investing Simplified.com. I break it down so that they understand the process, so that they get their mindset right, so that they understand the seller's mindset. And I'm a firm believer that with probate, you have to build the foundation. You have to have the foundational pieces. And people like you and me, Chris, we're going, okay, I got the course. Where's the marketing? See, I know I'm that person. So I drip the course down, so they have to learn the middle. So that is the reason they will become successful. But you can learn to become a probate investing expert in 6 weeks. That is my promise with the course. You're going to learn the procedures. You're going to learn, like I said, the mindset stuff. You're going to learn the marketing. And then what I give people in the course is complete sets of marketing materials, whether you're an agent, whether you're an investor. I talk to you the good, bad, and the ugly of probate attorneys. The fact that they're not particularly motivated to help you get a good deal. But the flip side of that is that if you market to probate attorneys when they get stuck with a really ugly house, not about a specific deal, then you can get their great source of leads. But there's a very specific way that you need to market to them, because if you send them a mail piece every month, they're going to want to kill you. So I provide people with a complete system, but I have a ton of free stuff over on the Louisville Gals Real Estate blog, and the podcast, everything tags off of that. So they can go over there. I have more than 800 pieces of content. So you can put in probate or marketing or whatever you want to, whatever is your interest, wholesaling or rehabbing, whatever it is. And then I have tons of experts on the podcast too, to talk about all kinds of different subjects.
That's great. So everybody, if you guys are interested in learning how to do this, learn from one of the best when it comes to probate and simplifying this whole process. Because if you don't know what probate is, that's the first step. Learn what probate is, then learn the process. It's not the easiest process to learn. So a lot of people just dive in and be like, oh, I know what probate is, I'm just going to do it. Good luck. Good luck.
Good luck. Yeah. What I think I've done is simplify the process down to a simple graphic, and you look at it and here's where you can buy the house. You just have to understand the process. You don't need to know all the legal stuff. Do you need to know the terminology? Yes. And I tell people up front, there's a boring terminology module in there, but if somebody says something to you, you have to know what the words mean. Print out the cheat sheet, but it's all part of your branding. It's part of showing up as the probate investing expert and getting them to choose you. So it's all very purposeful.
I like that. The probate expert, the specialist. There's something very powerful in being a specialist in a field, and there's just a lot to be said about that. So folks, I think there's been some golden nuggets dropped here. You guys learned a lot, but there's obviously more to learn. You got to learn this process. You got to see how this works. So you know how to do that. We're going to put it in the show notes. So when you're watching this, in the notes, you will find that website. You can go there, start diving deeper, and then you should really just jump into the course. How often are you doing that course?
It's probably going to be about 3 times a year. So we're set to launch at the time of this recording. It's early June, toward the end of June. But if they can, they can email me and tell them to go over to the blog. I have a probate investing starter kit completely free over there. Has a sample letter and everything. So they can go over there and get that and start to learn about the process just from that freebie.
Awesome. All right, folks, you hear it. Now listen, remember, what did I say earlier? I said just getting knowledge isn't going to get you there. You have to actually take action on this. So now there's the path. Go there, grab that free starter kit and start learning how this works. And then take the next step and put your money where your mouth is and take the course. Like everybody says, oh, well, I can find and learn how to do this on YouTube. Great. You know how much time you're going to spend trying to find the right information, put it together in the right order and process, and then go out and execute it? Just spend the money and do it the right way. And time is money. Actually, time, you can't put a dollar on it. So save yourself that time. So go out there and make things happen, folks. Thank you all for joining me for another episode of the Real Estate Money School. Talk to you guys next time.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.